Jane Austen was born on December 16, 1775, in Steventon, Hampshire, England, into a large, loving family of 8 children. Her father, Reverend George Austen, was an Anglican clergyman, and her mother, Cassandra Lee, came from a higher-ranking family connected to the aristocracy. Jane was the 7th of 8 children with 6 brothers and 1 sister, Cassandra, who would become her closest confidant throughout her life. The Austens were neither wealthy nor impoverished, but they were respectable, middle-class gentry. Reverend George Austen earned a modest income as a rector and had a well-stocked library of over 500 volumes, which fostered Jane's early love of reading and writing. The family environment was intellectually stimulating. Lively debates, amateur theatricals, and a shared enthusiasm for literature were all part of daily life. Education. As a girl, Jane received a good, albeit informal, education. She and her sister Cassandra were sent to boarding schools for a brief period from 1783 to 1786. These schools, including the Abbey School in Reading, were focused on social graces rather than academic learning, though Jane did gain basic knowledge in subjects like French, drawing, and music. Most of her intellectual development, however, took place at home, where she had free access to her father's library. By the time she was in her early teens, Jane was already experimenting with writing, creating satirical pieces that mocked contemporary literature and society. Early writings, Jane Austen's earliest known works, now referred to as her juvenilia, were written between 1787 and 1793. These writings were parodies and short stories filled with wit, humor, and exaggeration, revealing her keen observation of human nature from a young age. Some notable examples from this period include Love and Friendship, intentionally misspelled, The History of England, and Leslie Castle. These early works already demonstrated the satirical and ironic style that would become Austen's trademark in her later novels. By 1795, Austen had written her first full-length novel, Eleanor and Marianne, which would later be revised and published as Sense and Sensibility. The story was initially written in epistolary form, letters between characters, a popular literary device of the time. Around the same time, she began work on another novel titled First Impressions, which would later become Pride and Prejudice. Although both of these early works would undergo significant revisions, they laid the foundation for Austen's future success. Literary career and major works. Despite her literary talent, Jane Austen faced numerous challenges in getting her work published. Her early novels were completed but left unpublished for years, as it was difficult for women writers to find recognition and acceptance in the literary world dominated by male authors. Sense and Sensibility, 1811. Austen's first published work, Sense and Sensibility, was released in 1811 under the pseudonym A Lady. The novel tells the story of 2 sisters, Eleanor and Marianne Dashwood, who represent the sense and sensibility of the title. The novel explores themes of love, money, and societal expectations, reflecting Austen's sharp observations of the constraints placed on women during her time. Sense and Sensibility was well received, though it did not immediately bring Austen widespread fame. Nonetheless, the success of the novel provided her with the encouragement she needed to continue writing. Pride and Prejudice, 1813. Arguably Austen's most famous and beloved work, Pride and Prejudice was published in 1813. The novel introduces readers to Elizabeth Bennet, one of literature's most iconic heroines, and her complex relationship with the wealthy and aloof Mr. Darcy. Pride and Prejudice is renowned for its sparkling dialogue, humor, and Austen's brilliant use of irony. The novel remains one of the most widely read and adapted works in English literature. Pride and Prejudice gained considerable popularity after its release and solidified Austen's reputation as a talented novelist. The novel's portrayal of marriage, class distinctions, and personal growth continues to resonate with readers across generations. Mansfield Park, 1814. Austen's third novel, Mansfield Park, was published in 1814. The story follows Fanny Price, a poor young girl raised by wealthy relatives, the Bertrams, at their estate, Mansfield Park. Unlike Austen's earlier heroines, Fanny is more subdued and passive, but the novel delves into deeper moral and social issues, including the consequences of wealth and privilege. While Mansfield Park was well received, It has been the subject of more critical debate compared to Austen's other works, due to its more serious tone and Fanny's less conventional character. Emma, 1815. In Emma, published in 1815, Austen introduces readers to the title character, Emma Woodhouse, a wealthy, self-assured young woman who takes on the role of matchmaker for her friends and acquaintances. Despite her good intentions, Emma's meddling often leads to misunderstandings and complications. The novel is celebrated for its exploration of self-deception, personal growth, and social expectations. Austen herself once remarked that Emma was a heroine whom no one but myself will much like, but the novel remains one of her most enduring and popular works. Posthumous publications: Northanger Abbey and Persuasion, 1818. Jane Austen's final two novels, Northanger Abbey and Persuasion, were published posthumously in 1818. Northanger Abbey is a satire of Gothic novels, popular at the time, and follows the naive Catherine Morland as she navigates the world of love and imagination. The novel humorously critiques the excesses of Gothic fiction and explores the dangers of confusing fiction with reality. Persuasion, often considered one of Austen's most mature works, tells the story of Anne Elliot, a woman who is persuaded to break off her engagement to the man she loves, only to encounter him again years later. The novel is a poignant reflection on missed opportunities, second chances, and the enduring nature of love. Personal life and relationships. Despite writing extensively about romance and marriage, Jane Austen never married herself. She was briefly engaged in 1802 to Harris Bigwither, a wealthy but unremarkable man, but she broke off the engagement the next day. Austen's decision to remain single was unusual for a woman of her time, but it allowed her to focus on her writing and her family. Austen shared a particularly close bond with her sister Cassandra, who remained her lifelong confidant. The two sisters never lived apart for long, and Cassandra's emotional support was crucial during the difficult periods of Jane's life, including their family's financial struggles after the death of their father in 1805. Illness and death. In the later years of her life, Austen's health began to decline. Scholars now believe she suffered from Addison's disease, a rare disorder that affects the adrenal glands. Despite her worsening condition, Austen continued to write, working on a novel called Sanditon, which she left unfinished at the time of her death. Jane Austen passed away on July 18, 1817, at the age of 41 in Winchester, where she had moved to seek medical treatment. She was buried in Winchester Cathedral, a reflection of her family's clerical connections. Legacy and influence. During her lifetime, Austen achieved modest success, but her works were not widely celebrated outside of a small circle of admirers. However, after her death, her novels gained a growing readership, and by the late 19th century, she was recognized as one of the greatest novelists in English literature. The 20th century saw an explosion of interest in Austen's works, with numerous adaptations for film, television, and stage. Today, Austen's novels are studied in schools and universities worldwide, and have inspired countless readers with their wit, insight, and critique of social norms. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our channel